I still remember the moment our scanners detected the signal buried beneath the asteroid's crust, a frequency older than our species, older than every star chart ever drawn. I should have turned back. I should have warned them, but instead, I touched it. Before I go on, tell me in the comments which city you're watching from. I want to know how far my story travels across the stars. The light of the control room felt colder that day. My hands trembled, and somewhere deep inside the rock, something awakened. The asteroid belt surrounding us was a desolate expanse, a graveyard of celestial bodies drifting aimlessly through the void. The station, a solitary outpost named Horizon Outpost 9, hung like a fragile leaf in the cosmic wind. I was alone, save for the hum of machines and the flickering lights that illuminated the sterile environment. I had chosen this life, a life of isolation, dedicating myself to the study of cosmic signals. In my heart, I believed that the universe held secrets, stories waiting to be uncovered. But now, as I stared at the screen, the weight of those secrets felt heavier than ever. The signal pulsed rhythmically, a heartbeat echoing through the silence. I leaned closer, my breath hitching in my throat. It was unlike anything I had encountered in my years of research. A complex pattern, intertwining tones that seemed to resonate with a deep, primal part of me. I felt drawn to it, as if it were calling my name, whispering promises of ancient knowledge. Yet an undercurrent of dread coursed through me. What if this signal was not just a message? What if it was a warning? I glanced at the data logs, my mind racing. The frequency had been dormant for eons, buried beneath layers of rock and dust, waiting for the right moment to awaken. I had always believed that the cosmos was a vast library, filled with tales of civilizations that had risen and fallen long before humanity took its first steps. But this felt different. It felt personal. The control room was eerily quiet, the kind of silence that amplifies every thought, every doubt. I could almost hear the whispers of the past, echoes of those who had come before me. My fingers hovered over the console, hesitating. Should I share this discovery? The implications were monumental, yet fraught with danger. I had seen what happened when knowledge fell into the wrong hands. The galaxy, a volatile place, and secrets often ignited wars. As I pondered, I remembered the stories of ancient civilizations that had been lost to time. Whole worlds consumed by their own hubris, their legacies reduced to dust. I had dedicated my life to ensuring that humanity would not follow the same path, but here I was, standing on the precipice of something potentially catastrophic. The signal pulsed again, and I felt a shiver run down my spine. It was as if it sensed my hesitation, urging me to make a choice. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to focus. I needed to analyze the signal further, to understand its origin and purpose before making any decisions. I initiated the decoding process, my heart racing as the data streamed across the screen. The patterns began to shift, revealing fragments of information that hinted at a civilization long extinct. Their language was beautiful, yet haunting, filled with emotions that transcended time and space. I could feel their hopes and fears, their dreams and regrets, woven into the very fabric of the signal. As I worked, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The station, though equipped with the latest technology, felt like a relic itself, an island of humanity adrift in an ocean of stars. The walls seemed to close in around me, and I could almost hear the whispers of the cosmos, urging me to unveil the truth. But what truth, and at what cost? The data continued to flow, and I lost myself in the rhythm of analysis. It was a dance of discovery, a delicate balance between curiosity and caution. I felt the weight of the universe pressing down on me, yet I was compelled to continue. The signal had become a part of me, intertwining with my very essence. Hours passed, or perhaps it was days. Time had lost its meaning in the depths of space. I was consumed by the signal, my mind racing as I pieced together the fragments of a forgotten history. The civilization that had sent this message had once thrived, their achievements echoing across the stars. They had known greatness, but they had also known despair. As I delved deeper, I uncovered their fall, a tragic tale of ambition and ruin. The more I learned, the more I felt the weight of responsibility settle on my shoulders. I was not just a researcher, I was a keeper of their legacy. I could not let their story fade into oblivion. But the question remained, how could I protect it? The universe was vast and unforgiving, filled with factions that would stop at nothing to claim knowledge for themselves. The signal was a beacon, and I was its guardian. I paused, staring at the screen as a new wave of data flooded in. The signal had shifted again, revealing a hidden layer that sent chills down my spine. It was a warning, a message encoded within the very fabric of their language. I felt my heart race as I deciphered the words, each one resonating with a sense of urgency. They spoke of darkness, of a force that had consumed their civilization, leaving nothing but echoes in its wake. My breath caught in my throat. This was not just a relic of the past, it was a harbinger of what was to come. The weight of the revelation crashed over me like a tidal wave. I had stumbled upon something that could change everything, a truth that could either save humanity or doom it. I glanced at the communication console, the blinking lights a reminder of the outside world. I had to warn them. I had to share what I had discovered. But as I reached for the comms, a deep-seated fear gripped me. What if they didn't believe me? What if they dismissed my findings as the ramblings of a lonely scientist? The thought paralyzed me. I could not bear the weight of this knowledge alone. The signal pulsed again, a steady rhythm that seemed to echo my own heartbeat. It was as if it were urging me to act, to make a choice. I was standing on the edge of a precipice, and the abyss below called to me. I could either leap into the unknown or retreat into the safety of silence. I chose to leap. With trembling fingers, I activated the communication array, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. This is Dr. Ilara Voss of Horizon Outpost 9. I have made a significant discovery regarding a cosmic signal from the asteroid belt. It appears to be a message from an ancient civilization, warning of a darkness that consumed them. I urge you to listen. As the words left my lips, I felt a surge of hope mingled with fear. I had taken the first step, but the path ahead was fraught with uncertainty. I could only wait and hope that my message would reach those who could make a difference. The response came swiftly, a flurry of alerts and inquiries. My heart raced as I realized the implications of my discovery were beginning to unfold. The galaxy, once a quiet expanse, was stirring, and with it came the knowledge that I was no longer alone in my quest for understanding. But as I engaged in discussions with my colleagues, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The signal continued to pulse, a constant reminder of the weight of knowledge I now bore. It felt alive, almost sentient, as if it were aware of the chaos it was about to unleash. I tried to focus on the discussions, but my mind kept drifting back to the warning embedded within the signal. What if the darkness that had consumed the ancient civilization was not just a relic of the past? What if it was still lurking, waiting for the right moment to strike? I could almost hear the whispers of the cosmos, urging me to prepare for what was to come. The galaxy was vast, but it was not empty. I had seen the factions rise and fall, their ambitions often leading to destruction. And now, with the signal drawing attention, I feared that the cycle would repeat itself. As the discussions continued, I felt a growing sense of urgency. I needed to understand the signal fully, to uncover its secrets before it fell into the wrong hands. I turned my attention back to the data, diving deeper into the layers of information. The more I unearthed, the clearer the picture became. The civilization that had sent the signal had been remarkable, their achievements a testament to the heights that intelligent life could reach. They had built vast cities, explored the cosmos, and created art that transcended time. But beneath the surface, there had been a darkness, a force that had preyed upon their fears and ambitions. I could feel their pain, their desperation, woven into the very fabric of the signal. It was a warning, a plea for understanding, and I was its reluctant messenger. As I worked, I felt the weight of the universe pressing down on me, the silence of space amplifying my thoughts. The signal pulsed with a rhythm that echoed my heartbeat, a constant reminder of the urgency of my task. I was on the brink of uncovering something monumental, but with each revelation came a growing sense of dread. I had opened a door that could not be closed, and I could only hope that I was prepared for what lay beyond. The station felt alive, the machines whirring and clicking as I delved deeper into the data. I was no longer just a researcher. I was a guardian of a truth that could reshape the very fabric of existence. With each passing moment, I felt the stakes rising, the tension coiling around me like a serpent ready to strike. And then, just as I thought I had grasped the essence of the signal, a new wave of data flooded in, overwhelming my senses. It was as if the cosmos itself had opened a floodgate, revealing a torrent of information that threatened to consume me. I braced myself, my heart racing as I began to sift through the chaos. What I found sent chills down my spine. The signal was not merely a warning. It was a map, a guide to the remnants of the civilization that had sent it. Hidden within the layers of data were coordinates, locations that pulsed with the same energy of the signal itself. I felt a rush of exhilaration mixed with fear. This was a chance to uncover the truth, to understand the fate of a civilization that had vanished. But as I stared at the coordinates, a sense of foreboding settled over me. The darkness that had consumed them might still linger in those places. I had to tread carefully, to approach this new knowledge with caution. The galaxy was not forgiving, and the remnants of the past could be as dangerous as they were enlightening. I glanced at the communication console again, the blinking lights a reminder of the outside world. I had to share this discovery, to warn others of the potential dangers that lay ahead. But as I prepared to transmit the new information, a shiver of doubt crept in. Would they believe me? Would they understand the gravity of what I had uncovered? I hesitated, my fingers hovering over the console. The weight of the decision pressed heavily on my chest. I had come too far to turn back now, but the path ahead was fraught with uncertainty. The universe was vast and unforgiving, and I was just one voice among many. With a deep breath, I activated the comms again, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. This is Dr. Alara Voss of Horizon Outpost 9. I have uncovered coordinates to the remnants of the civilization that sent the signal. They may hold the key to understanding the darkness that consumed them. I urge you to take this seriously. As the words left my lips, I felt a surge of hope mingled with fear. I had taken the first step, but the path ahead was still shrouded in uncertainty. I could only wait and hope that my message would reach those who could make a difference. The signal pulsed again, a steady rhythm that seemed to echo my own heartbeat. It was as if it were urging me to act, to make a choice. I was standing on the edge of a precipice, and the abyss below called to me. I could either leap into the unknown or retreat into the safety of silence. I chose to leap. The moment I transmitted the coordinates, I sensed a shift in the atmosphere. It was as if the very fabric of space around Horizon Outpost 9 had tightened, bracing itself for the inevitable storm that was about to unfold. I leaned back in my chair, my heart pounding in my chest, waiting for a response. The silence felt heavy, laden with the weight of uncertainty. Then the comms crackled to life. Dr. Voss, we've received your transmission. You need to prepare for incoming vessels. Multiple factions are already en route. The voice of Commander Hale was steady, but I could hear the underlying tension. The message was clear. The discovery I had made was no longer mine alone. It was a beacon, drawing attention like moths to a flame. Commander, you don't understand, I started, my voice trembling with urgency. The signal, it's not just a warning, it's a map. We need to be cautious. If they find the remnants— Dr. Voss, Hale interrupted, his tone sharper now. We can't afford to be cautious. This is a race against time. We need to secure the location before anyone else does. We're sending a fleet. I swallowed hard. The implications of his words crashed over me like a tidal wave. A fleet meant confrontation. It meant the potential for violence, for chaos, and for the very darkness I had uncovered to be unleashed once more. But Commander, if they awaken whatever it is that destroyed that civilization— Enough, he barked. We're already in motion. Prepare for docking procedures. We'll need your expertise on the ground. As the comms fell silent, I felt a chill creep up my spine. I had unwittingly opened a door that I couldn't close. The echoes of the past were stirring, and I could feel the weight of their gaze upon me. I had to act quickly. I had to understand what I was dealing with before it spiraled out of control. The next few hours passed in a blur of frantic activity. My mind raced as I reviewed the data, searching for any clues that could help us navigate this impending conflict. The coordinates pulsed on my screen, glowing like a heartbeat, urging me to delve deeper. I was drawn to them, compelled by an insatiable curiosity that battled against the gnawing fear in my gut. But as I prepared to leave the control room, the lights flickered ominously. An alarm blared, cutting through the tension like a knife. I rushed back to my console, my heart racing. "What's happening?" I shouted into the comms. "Voss, we've detected anomalies in the vicinity of the coordinates," came Hale's voice, laced with urgency. "Energy fluctuations are off the charts. We need to evacuate the station immediately." Evacuate? The word sent a jolt of panic through me. What do you mean? What kind of anomalies? Unknown, but they're expanding. We can't risk being caught in a gravitational wave. We're initiating emergency protocols. I felt the ground beneath me shift. The very essence of the universe was changing, and I was at the center of it. I grabbed my bag, my heart pounding as I prepared to leave the control room. The thought of abandoning everything I had worked for sent a wave of despair crashing over me, but I knew I had no choice. As I made my way through the corridors of the outpost, I could hear the commotion around me. Crew members scrambled to gather their belongings, their faces etched with fear and uncertainty. The atmosphere was thick with tension, and I could feel the weight of impending doom pressing down on us. I reached the docking bay, where the escape shuttles were being prepped for launch. Commander Hale was already there, barking orders to the crew. "Get everyone on board. We don't have time to waste." "Commander," I called out, pushing through the throng of people. "What if the anomalies are connected to the signal? We need to know what we're dealing with." He turned to me, his expression grim. "We'll analyze it from a safe distance. Right now, our priority is survival." I nodded, but a sense of dread settled in my stomach. The unknown loomed before us, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we were about to unleash something we couldn't control. As I boarded the shuttle, I glanced back at the outpost one last time. The walls that had held my hopes and dreams now felt like a prison, and the darkness outside was closing in. The shuttle doors sealed shut, and I took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm within me. The engines roared to life, and we were propelled into the void. I felt the familiar sensation of weightlessness as we broke free from the outpost's gravitational pull, but the relief was short-lived. "Dr. Voss, we're detecting massive energy spikes in the vicinity of the signal coordinates," a crew member shouted from the cockpit. "Can we get a visual?" I asked, my heart racing. The pilot adjusted the controls, and a holographic display flickered to life. The image showed a swirling mass of energy pulsing with an intensity that made my skin crawl. It was beautiful and terrifying all at once, a cosmic dance of destruction waiting to unfold. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers," Hale ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos around us. "We need to get clear of that anomaly." As the shuttle veered away, I couldn't tear my gaze from the display. The energy seemed to call to me, whispering secrets of the past. I felt an overwhelming urge to understand, to decipher the message hidden within that chaos, but I knew I had to focus on survival. Suddenly, the shuttle lurched violently, throwing us against our restraints. Alarms blared, and I gripped the edge of my seat, heart racing. "What's happening?" I shouted. "We're caught in a gravitational wave," the pilot replied, panic creeping into his voice. "I can't stabilize the ship." The shuttle shook violently, and I could feel the pressure building around us. My mind raced, recalling the data I had analyzed just hours earlier. The records of the ancient civilization spoke of similar phenomena, events that had led to their downfall. I had to act. "Everyone, brace for impact!" Hale shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. But I couldn't just sit there. I had to do something. "Pilot, can we redirect power to the stabilizers?" I yelled, my voice barely audible over the din. "I'm trying, but the systems are overloaded," he shouted back, desperation lacing his words. I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of the universe pressing down on me. The answers were there, just beyond my reach. I envisioned the coordinates, the pulsing energy that had drawn us in. It was a call to action, a plea for understanding. "Redirect power to the signal's frequency," I shouted, my mind racing. "We need to resonate with it." "What?" Hale exclaimed, but I could see the gears turning in his mind. "It might just make things worse." "Or it could stabilize the wave," I countered, desperation creeping into my voice. "We have to try." "Do it," Hale barked at the pilot. The pilot hesitated, but then nodded, fingers flying across the controls. "Redirecting power now." The shuttle shuddered again as we felt the energy shift around us. I closed my eyes, focusing on the signal, the rhythm that had echoed through the control room. I could feel it pulsing in time with my heartbeat, a connection that transcended the chaos. Suddenly, the turbulence began to subside. The alarms quieted, and I opened my eyes to see the swirling mass of energy stabilizing. The pilot's expression shifted from panic to disbelief. "It's working! We're breaking free!" The shuttle surged forward, and I felt a wave of relief wash over me. But as we pulled away from the anomaly, a new alarm blared, sharper and more insistent than before. "We're not alone!" someone shouted from the cockpit. I turned to see a fleet of ships emerging from the darkness, their silhouettes cutting through the void like predators closing in on their prey. My heart sank as I recognized the insignia on the lead vessel. It was the emblem of the Dominion, a powerful faction known for their ruthlessness. "Commander, they're here for the signal," I exclaimed, panic rising in my throat. "Prepare for battle stations," Hale commanded, his voice steady despite the chaos. "We can't let them take the knowledge we've uncovered." I felt a chill run down my spine. This was it, the moment I had feared. The darkness of the past was rising again, and we were caught in its grasp. As the enemy ships closed in, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were on the precipice of something monumental, a clash that could alter the course of our existence. "Dr. Voss, we need your expertise," Hale shouted, urgency lacing his voice. "What do we do?" I took a deep breath, my mind racing. "We need to use the signal to our advantage. If we can harness its energy, we might be able to repel them." "How do we do that?" Hale pressed. "By resonating with it," I replied, my heart pounding. "We need to amplify the signal and create a feedback loop. It could disrupt their systems." "Do it," Hale ordered. "Pilot, get us closer to the anomaly." As the shuttle maneuvered toward the energy source, I felt a surge of determination. This was our chance to turn the tide. I focused on the controls, my fingers flying over the console as I initiated the sequence. The ship trembled beneath us, the energy building to a crescendo. "Hold on," the pilot shouted as we surged forward, the anomaly looming larger before us. The enemy ships were closing in, their weapons primed and ready. I could see the flashes of energy as they fired, but I was focused on the signal, the pulsing heart of the universe that had brought us here. I felt the connection deep within me, a bond forged through curiosity and fear. "Now!" I shouted, activating the resonance pulse. I drifted through the cold expanse of the space station, the weight of the universe pressing down on me, a reminder of the silence that enveloped everything. The echoes of the battle lingered in my mind, a cacophony of chaos that had erupted just moments before. I had witnessed the destruction, the lives lost, and the remnants of what once was. Now, the station felt like a tomb, a sanctuary for ghosts and memories that refused to fade. In the aftermath of the confrontation, I found myself retreating deeper into the recesses of my mind. The signal had awakened something within me, a power I had never fathomed. It was as if the cosmos had reached out, intertwining my fate with the remnants of an ancient civilization. I had become a vessel for their knowledge, their pain, and their hopes. Yet the burden was heavy, and I felt the isolation creeping in like a thick fog. I floated toward the observation deck, the vastness of space stretching before me. Stars twinkled like distant memories, reminders of dreams and aspirations that seemed so far away. I remembered the faces of my team, their laughter echoing in the corridors, now replaced by an oppressive silence. Each moment felt like an eternity, and I longed for connection, for someone to share the weight of this revelation. As I gazed out into the abyss, I felt the pulse of the signal resonating within me, a rhythmic heartbeat that echoed the void. It was a call to action, a plea for understanding. I closed my eyes, allowing the energy to wash over me, and in that moment, I began to comprehend the true nature of the relic. It was not merely a tool of power, it was a testament to existence itself, a record of a civilization that had once thrived, only to be consumed by its own ambition. I opened my eyes, the realization hitting me like a tidal wave. The signal was a warning, a message from the past that transcended time and space. It spoke of a cycle, a relentless loop of rise and fall, of creation and destruction. The ancient civilization had reached for the stars, only to find themselves ensnared by their own hubris. The echoes of their mistakes reverberated through the cosmos, and now humanity stood on the precipice of the same fate. The isolation I felt was suffocating, but it also ignited a fire within me. I could not allow history to repeat itself. I had to share what I had learned, to unite the factions that had once fought against each other. The knowledge contained within the relic could be the key to forging a new path, one that would lead to understanding rather than destruction. But how could I reach them? The factions were fractured, each driven by their own desires and ambitions. The war had only deepened the chasms between us, and I was just one voice lost in the void. I needed to find a way to bridge the gap, to show them that we were all part of the same cosmic tapestry, woven together by the threads of existence. I turned away from the stars, the weight of my thoughts pressing down on me. I had to act, to confront the leaders of the factions and share the truth of the relic. But the fear of rejection loomed large. What if they dismissed me? What if they saw me as a threat rather than an ally? The uncertainty gnawed at my mind, but I knew I had no choice. The fate of humanity hung in the balance. Days turned into weeks as I prepared myself for the confrontation. I spent countless hours poring over the data, trying to piece together the fragments of the ancient civilization's history. Each revelation brought me closer to understanding the signal's true purpose, yet the burden of knowledge weighed heavily on my heart. I was a harbinger of truth, but I also carried the potential for chaos. Finally, the day arrived. I stood in front of the assembled leaders, my heart racing as I faced the faces of those who had once been my enemies. Their expressions were a mix of skepticism and curiosity, and I could feel the tension in the air. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the task ahead. "Thank you for gathering here," I began, my voice steady despite the storm raging within me. "I know that we have fought against each other, but I stand before you today not as an enemy, but as a messenger. The signal we uncovered holds the key to understanding our place in the universe." Murmurs rippled through the crowd, and I could see the skepticism etched on their faces. But I pressed on, sharing the knowledge I had gleaned from the relic. I spoke of the ancient civilization, their rise to power, and the catastrophic events that led to their downfall. I painted a picture of a cycle that humanity was on the brink of repeating, and I could see the flicker of recognition in their eyes. As I continued, I felt the energy of the room shift. The walls of mistrust began to crack, and I could sense the leaders leaning in, captivated by the story I wove. I urged them to consider the implications of our actions, to recognize that we were all part of the same cosmic dance. The signal was not just a relic, it was a warning, a reminder that we must learn from the past if we were to forge a better future. But just as hope began to blossom, a voice cut through the air, sharp and accusatory. "And why should we trust you? You were the one who unleashed this chaos upon us." The words struck me like a physical blow, and I felt the weight of their anger crashing down. I had expected resistance, but the venom in their tone cut deeper than I anticipated. "I understand your anger," I replied, my voice trembling. But I am not here to assign blame. I am here to offer a chance for redemption. The room fell silent, the tension palpable. I could see the leaders exchanging glances, weighing their options. I had laid my heart bare, but would it be enough to bridge the chasm between us? It was then that I felt it, a pulse of energy resonating from the relic, a reminder of the power it held. I closed my eyes, allowing its energy to flow through me, and I spoke with conviction. The relic is not just a tool of destruction, it is a beacon of hope. Together, we can harness its power to create a new future, one where we learn from the mistakes of the past. The silence that followed was deafening, but I could feel the shift in the atmosphere. The leaders were considering my words, their expressions softening as they began to understand the gravity of the situation. I could sense the flicker of hope igniting within them, and I pressed on. Imagine a future where we unite our strengths, where we work together to unravel the mysteries of the cosmos. We can create a legacy that transcends our individual ambitions, one that honors the sacrifices of those who came before us. Slowly, one of the leaders stepped forward, the weight of authority evident in their gaze. You speak of unity, Dr. Voss, but how can we trust that this relic will not lead us to our doom? I met their gaze, my heart pounding in my chest. We cannot predict the future, but we can choose to learn from the past. The relic holds the wisdom of a civilization that faced its own demise. We must listen to its lessons, and in doing so, we can forge a path that honors their legacy. The leader nodded, and I could see the flicker of understanding in their eyes. The others began to murmur amongst themselves, the tension in the room slowly dissipating. I had planted the seeds of hope, but it was up to them to nurture it. As the discussions unfolded, I felt a sense of purpose washing over me. This was not just about the relic, it was about the connections we forged, the alliances we built, and the lessons we learned. The cosmos had a way of bringing us together, and I was determined to ensure that we did not squander this opportunity. Days turned into weeks as we worked together, unraveling the mysteries of the relic. The knowledge it contained was vast, and I felt a sense of awe as we pieced together the fragments of the ancient civilization's history. We uncovered their triumphs and failures, their hopes and fears, and in doing so, we began to understand our own place in the universe. But as we delved deeper, I could feel a darkness lurking at the edges of our discovery. The relic was powerful, and with power came the potential for corruption. I had witnessed the chaos it had unleashed, and I knew that we had to tread carefully. The lessons of the past were not just warnings, they were a call to action. One evening, as I sat in the observation deck, I gazed out into the vastness of space, the stars twinkling like distant memories. I could feel the weight of the universe pressing down on me, a reminder of the responsibility that lay ahead. We had uncovered the truth, but the path forward was fraught with uncertainty. I closed my eyes, allowing the energy of the relic to wash over me. It pulsed with a rhythm that resonated deep within my soul, and I felt a sense of clarity begin to emerge. The signal was not just a relic of the past, it was a beacon of hope, a reminder that we were all connected by the threads of existence. But with that hope came a realization. The universe was vast and unpredictable. We could not control the forces at play, but we could choose how we responded. The ancient civilization had faced their demise, but we had the power to learn from their mistakes. As I opened my eyes, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. We were on the brink of a new beginning, and it was up to us to shape our destiny. The relic had awakened something within me, a desire to forge connections and build bridges rather than walls. I would not let fear dictate our actions. I would embrace the unknown and strive for understanding. In the days that followed, we continued to work tirelessly, unraveling the mysteries of the relic and forging alliances with the factions. The knowledge we gained brought us closer together, and I could feel the bonds of trust beginning to form. We were no longer enemies, we were allies, united by a common goal. But just as hope began to blossom, a shadow loomed on the horizon. Whispers of dissent began to circulate among the factions, fueled by fear and uncertainty. Some leaders questioned the relic's true purpose, convinced that it was a harbinger of doom rather than a source of enlightenment. I felt the weight of their doubt pressing down on me, and I knew I had to act. I called for a gathering, a chance to address the concerns that had begun to fester. The leaders assembled, their expressions a mix of skepticism and apprehension. "This relic has the potential to change everything," I began, my voice steady despite the turmoil within. "But we cannot allow fear to dictate our actions. We must confront the darkness together, armed with the knowledge we have gained." The room fell silent, and I could see the flicker of uncertainty in their eyes. "I understand your fears," I continued, "but we cannot ignore the lessons of the past. The ancient civilization faced their demise because they allowed fear to control them. We must choose a different path." As I spoke, I could feel the energy in the room shifting. The leaders were listening, their expressions softening as they began to understand the gravity of the situation. I urged them to consider the potential for unity, to recognize that we were all part of the same cosmic dance. In that moment, I felt a surge of hope. The relic was not just a tool of power, it was a reminder that we were all connected, woven together by the threads of existence. Together, we could forge a new legacy, one that honored the sacrifices of those who came before us. As the discussions unfolded, I felt a sense of purpose washing over me. We were no longer bound by our past. We were forging a new path, one that embraced the unknown. The cosmos had a way of bringing us together, and I was determined to ensure that we did not squander this opportunity. Days turned into weeks, and as we continued to work together, I felt the bonds of trust deepening. The factions were beginning to unite, their differences set aside in the face of a common goal. The relic had awakened something within us, a desire to learn from the past and build a better future. But just as hope began to blossom, a new threat emerged. An unknown force began to stir in the depths of space, a darkness that threatened to consume everything in its path. I could feel the tension rising, and I knew we had to act fast. We gathered once more, the leaders assembling to confront the impending danger. The atmosphere was charged with urgency, and I could see the determination etched on their faces. "We must stand united," I urged, my voice steady. "We cannot allow the darkness to consume us. The relic has shown us the way. We must harness its power to confront this threat." As I spoke, I could feel the energy in the room shifting. The leaders were listening, their expressions resolute as they began to understand the gravity of the situation. Together, we would confront the darkness, armed with the knowledge we had gained. In that moment, I felt a surge of hope. The relic was not just a tool of power, it was a beacon of light in the face of adversity. Together, we could forge a new legacy, one that honored the sacrifices of those who came before us. The days that followed were a whirlwind of preparation. We worked tirelessly, pooling our resources and knowledge to confront the impending threat. The relic pulsed with energy, a reminder of the power we held within our grasp. As the darkness loomed closer, I felt a sense of calm wash over me. The universe had a way of testing our resolve, but I knew we were ready. We had forged connections, built alliances, and learned from the past. Together, we would face whatever lay ahead. Finally, the day of reckoning arrived. The darkness descended upon us, a swirling mass of chaos that threatened to consume everything in its path. But we stood united, our hearts beating as one, fueled by the knowledge we had gained. As the battle raged on, I felt the energy of the relic surging within me. I closed my eyes, allowing its power to guide me, and I felt a sense of clarity emerge. The darkness was not just an enemy, it was a reflection of our own fears and doubts. With newfound purpose, I reached out, channeling the energy of the relic. It pulsed with a rhythm that resonated deep within my soul, and I felt the threads of existence intertwining around us. Together, we could confront the darkness, armed with the knowledge we had gained. As the battle unfolded, I could feel the tide shifting. The darkness began to recede, its grip loosening as we stood united. The energy of the relic surged through us, a beacon of light in the face of adversity. In that moment, I realized that the true power of the relic lay not in its ability to destroy, but in its capacity to unite. We were no longer bound by our past. We were forging a new path, one that embraced the unknown. As the darkness dissipated, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. We had faced our fears and emerged stronger, united by the threads of existence. The relic had awakened something within us, a desire to learn from the past and build a better future. In the days that followed, we began to rebuild, forging connections and alliances that transcended our differences. The relic had shown us the way, and we were determined to honor its legacy. As I stood on the observation deck, gazing out into the vastness of space, I felt a sense of hope blossoming within me. The cosmos was vast and unpredictable, but together we could navigate its mysteries. The relic had awakened something within us, a desire to learn from the past and build a better future. In that moment, I realized that we were not alone. The universe had a way of bringing us together, weaving our destinies into a tapestry of existence. The echoes of the past had guided us, and now it was up to us to shape our future. As I closed my eyes, I felt the energy of the relic pulsing within me, a reminder of the power we held. Together, we could forge a new legacy, one that honored the sacrifices of those who came before us. The darkness may have threatened to consume us, but we had emerged stronger, united by the threads of existence. In the silence that followed, I felt a sense of calm wash over me. We had faced our fears and emerged victorious, and now it was time to embrace the unknown. The cosmos awaited, and I was ready to answer its call.